Hello everyone. So, first thing I wanted to talk about was I was lucky enough to be featured on the homepage of this website called The Law Insider. So you should check that out. It's thelawinsider.com, and I just answered a few questions, a little interview. It was really exciting. And when that interview went up, that was the first time that okay, well, the interview went up, and then I shared it on my Facebook and my Twitter and stuff like that. And that was the first time I had really just come right out and talked about this vlog series to my friends and family and colleagues. Well, my colleagues still well, I'll talk about that another time. But for the most part, I had a sort of coming out regarding the web series, and basically it was just because I think I've talked about it before. I wanted to be able to talk really openly about things, and I was worried that if I knew that my friends or family or classmates were watching, then I wouldn't say as much. Not because I was saying bad things, but because I felt like, maybe I would be embarrassed or whatever. So, but I don't know. It just kind of, I feel less like that now, so it doesn't scare me as much. So anyways, more people know, and that's kind of cool. Although friends have been like, why didn't you tell me about this? Also, the Giants won the World Series, which was super exciting. What a good night. It was, I guess it was last weekend, right? Yeah, the city just went crazy. I remember when they won the World Series in 2010, and it was the first time they had won. I think it was the first time they'd won since they were in San Francisco. And so, it had been a very, very long time. And it was exciting, and it was equally as exciting this time, although I feel like people were a little bit cocky about it, instead of being like, oh, we're the underdogs, they were like, oh yeah, of course we won. And I mean, of course you should be proud of your team, but you don't have to be rude about it. So there's that, and then if you follow me on Twitter, you probably saw that I found a place to live, which was great. I ended up not even finding it through Craigslist. I found it through a friend of a friend of a friend. And it's, I don't know, I don't want to be negative, but I'm really apprehensive about it, basically because I'm going to be living with 3 guys who I don't really know that well. And there's one bathroom. And, otherwise it's a pretty nice apartment. It's in a great neighborhood. It's right by a grocery store. It's right by a park. But I'm going from living with, like, my best friend in an awesome, 2-story condo with, like, a pool and a gym and all this stuff to, living in kind of a dude household. So, we'll see. I haven't even really moved in yet, so I can't really say that it's good or bad. But all of my stuff is in the garage of the apartment right now because I had to move out of my old place last weekend, but I couldn't move all my stuff into the new room at that time because the other people weren't out yet. So that was really inconvenient. So it's like I had to split up my moving into 2 weekends. So hopefully that will be out of the way. I especially want it to get out of the way by next Wednesday because that's my 25th birthday, and it would be nice just to not have that stress, obviously. Okay, also, a little administrative point. People have been saying that they want me to include something in the header of, or in the title of the videos that lets them know, like, what the video is about, and that's totally understandable. I should have been doing that since the beginning. But, something I realized going back and watching the videos again is that I'm just, like, all over the place. This really has been like a diary. I haven't, planned it out super well. I just tell you about things as they come to me. And so that has made it a little bit difficult to make titles because in some videos I talk about like 15 different things, so it wasn't like one theme of the video. But you may have noticed I have gone back and started to change the titles as best I can. And then it got me thinking that, I actually don't need to be numbering the videos. Like I had been numbering them, Law School Diary 1. And I don't need to do that because they're already in chronological order. That's how they show up on your channel automatically. So maybe I'll just take that out. It'll save room. And then I'll just have the titles be like you know, whatever it's about. I don't know. Give me feedback, whatever you think. So that stuff's out of the way. The substance of the video was, I wanted to talk about work. Work has been going amazing. Not because it hasn't been challenging. In fact, it's been really challenging. Ow. I stubbed my toe. Anyways, it's been really challenging, but I feel like I have a voice there finally, as cheesy as that sounds. I know it really does sound cheesy. But we've been working on this cross complaint, and the great thing is that I was there since the beginning. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this isn't the first litigation thing I've worked on, but the other litigation stuff I've worked on, I was brought onto it like after it had already been going on for a while, and it's hard to just jump on when you don't know all the facts or the history of the case. So this cross complaint that we just did, it was the first time that I had been with the case since the very beginning. And not only have I been with the case, but I've actually gotten to contact with the clients directly, and that's just really exciting. You know, obviously makes me feel really professional. And so writing this cross complaint just felt better, like I was more involved. And when I say having a voice, it's because, you know, when we would go through the many drafts, I mean, I swear we probably went through like 50 or more drafts. That can get frustrating, so just be patient. Anyways, when we would go through the drafts and we would talk about them together, I would make suggestions, or like if my boss or coworkers would make suggestions and I would counter them with like my reason why I didn't agree, they're like listening to that sort of stuff more. That's not to say that they weren't listening before, but you know, I didn't have any sort of experience, so it's understandable if they kind of like brushed it off before. But there's been a few times with this cross complaint where I've said something and my boss has been like, oh, okay, yeah, good point, we'll do that. And it feels amazing. It seriously feels like, you know, someone should be singing behind us or whatever. It just makes me feel like I chose the right path, like I'm doing well, I'm succeeding, you know. So I've been feeling really good. And like I said, you know, with the whole, like, don't get frustrated with or discouraged with all the different drafts you're going to have to go through. That goes to another point, which is that even though I'm saying everything is going well, that's not because there haven't been hiccups. There definitely have been. There have been frustrations, for sure. But then there are those times when something goes right and it just, you know, it kind of makes up for all that. Especially in this field, there's going to be curveballs, and, you know, if you just learn to be flexible and figure stuff out, you'll be good. But speaking of being flexible, the other point of this video was to share a little anecdote with you. My boss is, he's a very sort of no-filter type of person. And even if he ever saw this video, I know that he wouldn't be mad about me saying that because he has said it himself. But he just, you know, he just tends to say things when he's thinking them, and sometimes it can come off as seeming kind of harsh. So a few weeks ago, you know, and I always bite my tongue about it because I don't want to rock the boat, first of all, and second of all, he is the person who holds the key to, you know, me having a job or not, so of course I'm not going to, like, talk back to him. But I'm feeling more secure in my position there lately, which in turn makes me feel more secure in speaking my mind about things. And so a few weeks ago, he said something, I don't even remember what it was in particular, but it really actually made me mad. And it was just, again, it's like, it wasn't like he was being mean, it was just how he, like, expresses himself. I think he was frustrated with something. There was something that we were miscommunicating on and I wasn't getting right. And I didn't like the way that he presented his criticism about it. And so I ended up telling him, and it was terrifying. I remember, like, my voice was kind of shaking. You know, I thought I was all confident about it, but I was speaking really fast, which is something you tend to do when you're, like, nervous. And I basically just told him that I thought that he could phrase things a little bit nicer. And that turned into, like, a little bit of a conversation. And then the next day he called me into his office and had me close the door. And I was really nervous. But it ended up being great because it ended up being a conversation that I think we needed to have for a while, because he told me that there were times when, like, he would be telling me something, like, that he thought was constructive criticism, and all he saw in my face was like like daggers, you know, and I was like, I felt terrible. I thought like, oh no, I hope that he doesn't think I'm just like giving him dirty looks all the time. Because of course I get frustrated at work. I probably get frustrated at work like 10 times a day. And I don't ever want it to seem like I can't handle things or like I'm a bitch, to be honest, you know, and I didn't want these facial expressions that I am supposedly making to come off that way. And so it was just a good conversation where it was a back and forth, and I ended up leaving it feeling a lot better. Like I had stood my ground about something, and but I had also learned something about myself, you know, and something I brought away from that is to work on not being so sensitive, you know, when I don't get something right, to not sulk about it, because I can sulk sometimes. I know it's like I'm an adult, I should not do that, but I know that I can do that, and it's something I want to work on. And he said he would work on, you know, being a little bit nicer about how he says things, but also in giving me positive feedback. That was something I told him, is that I felt like he never ever told me like what I was doing right. I know that sounds funny, and some people maybe will disagree with me and they'll say, you know, you need to just push on and like not require positive feedback. I'm not saying that I need him to baby me or tell me that I'm doing something right when I'm not, but I think that it is important for a superior to let his employees know when they're doing something right, because it encourages them, and it makes sure, or it lets them know that that thing that they're doing right is something they should continue to do, you know, etc. So he's actually gotten better about that. A few days after that conversation, he like came out with the draft of something I had written and was like, "This is really great. So these are the things we're going to work on." So, you know, he clearly heard me, and that was what was really nice. So the lesson of that is to, you know, stand up for yourself when appropriate. Obviously, don't, you know, yell at the person or whatever. But if you're feeling really uncomfortable about something and you think that it could help to speak up, then you should. I'm hoping to be, you know, employed by this guy for a few years at least, so I wanted to make the situation more comfortable for both of us, and luckily that's what the conversation did. So I think that that's all that I am going to update on right now. So it's Friday, and we just filed our cross complaint today. That's out of the way, which is exciting. And I move my stuff tomorrow, and then I have the rest of the weekend to relax, so that's nice. And then I might not see you guys again before my birthday, so maybe I'll be 25 when I see you again. So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to everyone soon.